In 2000 and 2001, Yu-Gi-Oh! Hit the world like a cultural phenomenon that dipped into mommy and daddy's checkbooks for years to come. But now it's been almost 19 years and the game has started to lose popularity. But 2 years ago, the release of Duel Links on mobile phones and now a year ago on Steam is trying to revive this old behemoth. But will they be able to do it? Let's talk about this.
It's time
Hey everybody, what's going on? Brandon here, and I know what you're probably wondering. Brandon, you said in the intro this game has been around for almost 20 years. Duel Links has been around for 2. It's been around for a year on Steam already. This isn't really news. Why are you even covering this? Well, this is more of a topical thing than it is a review. Mostly because of my history with this game. This is a game that I grew up and absolutely loved as a kid. Now, to start things off, I'm going to give you guys a brief history lesson on my experience with this game over the last almost 20 years. Now, this game came out in 2001 in North America. I was a freshman in high school when this game came out. This is actually the game that I met the co-host Nathan through. We were on the same bus, and we just happened to both be playing the same game. And we actually developed a friendship around this game. And when this game first came out in 2001, it was awesome. It was a ton of fun. The whole goal was just to get the most powerful creatures out and keep your opponent from summoning things. The rules, while they seemed a little complicated for the most part, they were very simple. And it had a very simple formula. You had some strong monsters, you had some weak monsters, you had to find a strategy to get your stronger ones out. And over the course of pretty much my whole high school career, it almost stayed that way completely. And that was the formula they were following, and it stayed popular. They would release some new cards every once in a while that were stronger or maybe had a new effect that helped you get one of your bigger monsters out, but it was still about who could get the most power, aside from the handful of decks that were like Exodia revolved or had some strategies. I mean, for the most part, there was no OTK decks for the first couple years, unless you had the perfect way to get your blue eyes out, but that really never happened. Now, for the most part, I don't follow the anime. Now, I watched the very first series of Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was in high school, when it came out with the Egyptian gods. Then the next season, they had the legendary dragons, and I was kind of, turned off a little bit by them. I really didn't like them. And I liked some of GX, but after that, and they went to 5Ds, and they're riding around on motorcycles, dueling. That, to me, took me out of it. Took me out of the ability to even try to enjoy it, because, I mean, it was already pretty far-fetched and pretty weird. And it pretty much the only, thing that was stayed consistent is whoever had the biggest, craziest hair was usually the hero of the story. And that just seemed to be how they continued to do it over and over and over again. So I stopped watching the anime, and at some point in time, I'd have to guess and say it was around the time I met my wife. And shortly after we had my daughter, I probably stopped playing. Now, I still had all my cards. I still have all my cards, but I stopped playing. I didn't play for a while because I lived in a different town. My friends didn't really live here, and I didn't have anybody to play with. Now, shortly while after, I decided I was going to start playing again because there was a card shop here in the town, and this is when I realized they had introduced things such as synchros and Xyz monsters and summons. That's when I was, floored completely, because I was completely unaware of these rule changes. So whenever I came into this tournament with just one of my old decks that was revolved around getting my Blue Eyes Ultimate out, I got completely destroyed by somebody in one turn who was able to pull off all these strategies to synchro summon this and Xyz summon this, and they had this effect that could do this. I mean, if you try to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, like the full version of Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, and you've never played a card game anymore, you might think you need a physics degree to figure out some of these rules. They got really complicated. So, needless to say, I lost that tournament by a landslide, and then had to learn all these new rules. Well, at the time, I had a daughter, I had a wife. I didn't really have the energy to learn new rules. So I just decided, the game is outgrew me. It's not nearly as fun as I remember it being. But then a few years later, I found this awesome PC game, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, which allows you to duel people online. And I decided to get back into it. I forced myself to learn the rules. I became a pretty big fan of Lightsworn decks. and had a zombie slash lightsworn deck that I would use in tournaments that was pretty good. It got a couple of my really good synchros out, and I got really good at playing again, and continued to play all the way up through they released the Pendulum monsters, and I started playing with them. But at the same time, using Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro to me took away a lot of the fun aspects of what I liked about the game, and that's the ability to get random cards and trade cards with people, try to get more rare cards, and build these decks around a certain way, because when you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, you can literally use any deck of any kind that exists, whether you really own the card or not. And that's one huge turnoff for me on why I don't play that too much. And I know that seems kind of petty, but at the same time, if you grew up on the trading card game scene, we all know the grind of being able to build the perfect deck and having to use substitute cards because you don't have the card you need to have. And let's face it, when you're playing a game like Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, and the only reason you get beat is because the person's got 3 cards in his deck that just happen to be like $500 to $1,000 a piece in the real world, it takes away from the, okay, you're not better than me, you've used a hard counter, and you're not really using any cards you might possibly have in real life. Because like whenever I went into Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, I like to use my real deck to see how it fared against people online, and they're using cards that cost a small fortune to have. So you know that's not very likely that they actually own those cards, and it takes away from it. Now, Duel Links, I played it on my phone for a while, and back when it first came out, it was pretty much just a scaled-down version. That's what it is. It's a half-scale game. You don't get the full 5 monster and trap slots. You've only got 3. Your life points are only at 4,000 unless you're playing a tag duel. You have special abilities with your character. It's pretty much just a more sped-up, half-scale version of Yu-Gi-Oh! And right now, they just now introduced synchro summons, but the rules are pretty much the same as they were way back in the day. Get the stronger monster out, get rid of the life points. It's not overly complicated. Now, I'm sure when they add Xyz, it will probably get complicated. I don't know how, if they're going to do Pendulum, how they're going to pull that off. But they are at least keeping the game pretty consistent, and I think they might actually be drawing in players. Because on Steam, the game's actually had a pretty solid 9,000 player per hour average, which is really good since the game came out on Steam just a little over a year ago. It's been out on mobile for 2 years. Yu-Gi-Oh! Itself is almost 20 years old. So that's actually really good numbers. And I think if they do it right going forward with Duel Links, they can actually bring in a lot more players. I think the huge thing they need to do is they need to add trading with other players. I'm not sure why companies keep refusing to do this with their online trading card games. The key word is trading card games, guys. You're supposed to be able to trade these cards, not just keep them all to yourself. Now, I think the reason they're probably not allowing people to trade is probably money, if I had to guess. They know fewer people will buy packs if they can trade cards to get a card they need for a certain deck, and they are afraid to lose that money, which sucks. It kind of kills the whole want of a trading card game online, and that's been one of the main reasons I don't play a lot of them online, is because the fun part of trading card games was going to the card shop, meeting other players, and trading with people, and that seems to have completely disappeared all around. I know I don't have a trading card place here. Every one that's opened up in my town is closed down, so none of them have survived the last 20 years. But I would like to see Duel Links be able to bring Yu-Gi-Oh! Back. That we really don't have a big Yu-Gi-Oh! Scene anymore. I've still got all my cards, and I have nobody to play with other than Nathan when he comes over occasionally. It really does suck. I would like to see this game bring more life back into this franchise. I think if they were to release a better series of the anime and stop releasing a new form of summon every year, I think they would be able to get more players in. But when you're changing the rules every year and adding some new summon, like I said, when I came back to the game after the hiatus I took, I was completely rolled over. I didn't know what to do with the Xyz and Synchros as soon as I jumped into the game from playing during this first series. So definitely they need to handle doing this right now. So far, Duel Links just now added Synchros, so they are slowly, very slowly rolling out these rules changes, but I think they're doing it in a better way for this version of the game. So I definitely think that this might actually revitalize the series, and I know it's been 2 years. You're probably wondering why I'm even bothering talking about it, but this game is just so addictive to me. I've actually not been able to stop playing it since I put it back on my PC, I've had to pry myself away to be able to play some other games I need to do reviews on. And that's just one thing about this game, is it is addictive. And I know a lot of people hate it because they scream it's pay to win, but I mean, a lot of us are hypocrites in that way, is I don't like pay to win in my video games, but trading card games to me have always been pay to win, and for whatever reason, we're always okay with it. And I don't really know why. Even I have to admit, it's kind of hypocritical of me to, like a trading card game, because technically it is pay to win, but it's a trading card game. That's the way they've always been. So to me, it's not the same thing, but even though it is, I know it's hypocritical. But that's all the time I got for this one, though, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's a little different. Don't really know why I did this video today. I just really wanted to get a video up to you guys, and I've been playing a lot of Duel Links, and I thought, you know what, I'll go ahead and do a video on this. But I hope you guys like this video. If you did like this video and you want to see more, please do me a favor and click that red subscribe button. If you want to know anytime Nathan or I upload any videos at all, please do me a favor and click that bell icon, and I will see you guys next time.